All right, we are live. Hey, welcome to the studio today, B.
Good morning.
Good morning. Man, how you doing today?
We're good, brother. We're good. We're blessed.
Yeah, man, you left your coffee in the car and everything.
Yeah, I did. Extra shot. We needed it this morning, so.
Yeah, that's one of them days.
It's sometimes you burn the midnight oil.
Yep.
So it's that dawn comes quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, man. But we're here, and as always, ready to dive deep in specific topics where others, fail to venture. Into those deep operational subjects that folks love to dance around.
Exactly.
We're gonna dive into them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we make it entertaining in the meantime as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, so we want to welcome you guys to Buy the Block with Bryan Chavis, the podcast where we teach you how to buy it, rent it, and profit. And we want to first thank our sponsors, the Multifamily Matrix, Bryan Chavis Coaching and Consulting, as well as Renometer Pro. Thank you so much for sponsoring the podcast. If you guys are interested, you can get 5 free rental reports by visiting bryanchavis.com/Renometer. Check out Renometer Pro. It's a great service that we use to help analyze our deals, or to check our rental rates.
And which plays a major part in the analyzation and underwriting process. So you're right.
Absolutely. So in today's podcast, we're going to talk about a segment of our certified rental investment specialist program, which is creating a management plan. And we're going to dive into kind of like the beginnings of that. So you're going to want to, tune in. This is a very important part of becoming a certified rental investment specialist, whether you want to work with investors, whether you're looking to analyze and manage your own properties. This is a very special segment. So we are, pleased to bring this to you. So B, I want to get into this, man. So why are we talking about management plans, and why is that an important part of the puzzle when dealing with multifamily?
Yeah. There's several key foundational components to operating a multifamily asset, or to operate a portfolio, large or small. And a lot of experts will, very few people go down this path.
Got it.
Because it's very operational, it's very management, i.e. property management intensive.
Yep.
Once you start leveling up, you understand, the term then becomes, it's operational. So, It's all about day-to-day operations at the property, i.e. property management.
Okay.
Everyone thinks it miraculously manages itself, i.e. the asset, right? The process is to just simply hand it off to a property management company. Now, all of these concerns become the property manager's concern, right?
Okay.
They're supposed to handle everything. But as you level up in this industry and more exposure you have, you realize that that's not the case. You just don't hand it off. Syndicators, partners, the idea to find a third party property manager and hand it off. We all know that's does that happen? Absolutely. But the process of just simply handing the project over or the community over to someone to manage without guidance,
right,
it's a recipe for failure. So that without guidance, where is the guidance coming from?
Got it.
So the guidance comes from the foundation from which the procedures are developed and implemented for the success of the property day to day.
Right.
Stem from the management plan. So operational procedures are a close relative to the management plan. It's the next step in the evolution of the management plan being executed. It's through operations day to day. Operations have that the 80-20 rule.
Yep.
80% of the operations stay the same. 20% kind of changes depending on the property's location, asset class, et cetera, et cetera. In the management plan, still, but, the components of the management plan, are fundamentally 80% the same. You're going to apply it all the way across the board the same. Again, like I said, 20% will change, but you'll be surprised, again, how much of that 20%, affects the day-to-day operation, the net operating income of that property. So, it's a way to make sure that everyone understands what the goal is.
Right.
For those who are sports fans, it's basically like, hey, this is our game plan for this particular team. And, within the game plan, you have different schemes.
Right.
If they start running the ball well, we move to this defense. If they start moving the ball over the top, offense, we move to this defense. Same scheme, different schemes, overall arcing, same, the game plan, is specifically designed for that particular team, and there's changes within the game plan that happens. And that's kind of, how I look at the management plan, that it's our game plan going in for this particular property, because you have to have a game plan. You have to understand that you set certain rules and guidelines. These rules and guidelines are called prefs, internal rates of return, cash flows. These are things that you promised investors, and how do you achieve those? And you achieve those through day-to-day operations, right?
Right.
It all looks great on the spreadsheet. It all looks good. The numbers look good, the underwriting, all that's fun. But then someone's got to show up on Monday when you after the closing, and they have to execute.
Exactly.
And what is that process of the execution? What is the process of it going from management plan to operations to being implemented by the team? And then how do you monitor?
Right.
What processes and systems are in place to monitor and understand when things are not going well, to get ahead of them, right? So
right.
That's the management plan. It's a mouthful, but this is not easy, and it's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would be successment.
Yeah, exactly.
You notice I said everyone would be doing it. Everyone is doing it, but not everyone is successful.
Right, exactly. So I want to get into this this guidebook. I really like how it's laid out, and so I'd love for you to kind of break this down. So we did talk about this already, but I'd love for you to kind of re-paraphrase this. So what is a management plan? A real estate management plan is an operating plan developed to maximize a property's potential. Says, the plan is created by you. It's not static. You mentioned that earlier. It's not something that is just kind of cut and paste. It's something that's developed specifically for that property. Mm-hmm. And so, it's revised as needed to maximize the value of the property for the owner.
Yep.
Got it.
So you think of it like, again, as a sports team, you think you have a game plan for a team.
Yeah.
But if they start finding success running the ball, you make adjustments. So nothing's static. And if you don't make adjustments, right, then you get blown out.
Right.
The game's out of control. You don't know how to make adjustments during the halftime, which makes, the New England Patriots, why Bill Belichick, and, they were always able to make adjustments during the halftime, come out. Successful teams make adjustments, right? You can argue that for any successful, well-coached team.
Yep.
They make the right type of adjustments. Oh, we're getting beat over the top. Let's move to a different package. Same scheme. Just they're moving. It's static, like you said. So yes, you've seen that happen with COVID, where I had to get with the team and make certain changes.
Yep.
It's always you're always looking to identify possible headwinds and make appropriate changes.
That makes sense.
But without a management plan, it's really hard to find where the changes need to be made.
Right.
In other words, you run the strong possibility of just making knee-jerk reactions.
Right.
And guessing where you need to make changes. And at this level, you can't guess.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it happen over and over again.
Absolutely.
So let's move on here. So this is part of one of the requirements for becoming a certified rental investment specialist. This is one of your highest level certifications that you offer within the matrix, and
along with the
coaching program. Exactly.
Right.
And so to prepare a management plan for a property. So this is the plan is the most comprehensive tool available to enable CRIS candidates to demonstrate their ability to apply property management and asset management theory, principles, and techniques to an actual property. So people are always asking questions about, how do I work with investors? How do I provide value? What do you think about that? When you're working through a management plan, how are you displaying,
Yeah. And there's 100 different, that management plan is important. There's a ton of meat on that bone on what you can do to be able to offer as a consultant or as a manager or a real estate professional who wants to get involved with commercial, and you're like, how do I compete? How do I offer value to my investors? We teach to create junior management plans. To, a junior management plan is like right. like it implies, it's a watered down version.
Yeah.
A quick synopsis of, hey, look, this is what I see, where the property, as a consultant, this is where I see your property is, and here are 3 recommendations that I would implement within the next, 2 weeks. And based on the issues you find, the findings you find at the property, whether it be high turnover, high non-renewal rates, things of that nature, whatever it may be, the issues that are happening on that particular property, deferred maintenance, you identify, and you can put together a junior management plan. Then you can put together a senior management plan, which goes in far greater detail, with current and forecasting, issues, and putting, the proper systems in place. But yeah, the management plan, being able to help individuals create that framework, right. That's an invaluable tool for a consultant to be able to utilize Absolutely. When speaking with investors.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, I'm hopefully we're not sounding repetitive here, but, there's a strong level of importance. I see a lot of people, how do I work with investors? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? Simply by putting together a management plan, it can start unlocking all types of potential for how you can show, potential investors, how you can protect their investment, owners, even, how are you going to manage the tenants, the whole nine. So, you, in your guidebook, you talked about the many benefits to managing a property by plan, including strategic planning. So I want to go through these. So, strategic planning is things like, including property capital improvements, the ownership goals for the asset, strategic asset management decisions like buying, selling, or hold. Sounds like the exit strategy or something of that nature, and some of the acquisition. So strategic planning, how do you, what importance does that play within the management plan?
Well, yeah. So the management plan in the beginning sets, we all know the goals. We set during the waterfall structure. We have our idea of our projections through the underwriting on returns. Management plan is going to be the tool or the instrument that we use to be able to ensure that those returns are achieved. Right. Through a given period of time, through the hold period. From that management plan, then comes the day-to-day operations are born, your procedures manuals and processes, right? And again, like I said, it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of it's going to be the same, but that is going to implement and dictate the strategy. And this is usually done alongside the underwriting. So a management plan is usually created right alongside the underwriting. And, this is the rules of how you should operate this property.
Okay.
So, it's just like the franchise. It's almost like the franchise model. This is how you want to run this particular restaurant. This is how it's done.
Correct.
So now we know going in, and this is what the importance of ownership, or if you're in the syndication or JV, or your sole proprietor owner, mom and pop, right? This is the importance of understanding what the goals are and understanding that there is some sort of, plan in place to help you achieve those goals, and to be able to predict or signal when things might not be, going according to plan, so you can get ahead of these before they become major issues, right?
Yep.
So these are the importance of, again, having a plan, managing by plan. And it's also, hey, listen, if I'm going to hand this to a third-party property management, this is what I'm giving to the third-party property manager. I'm giving them my management plan. This is how I want my property run and maintained. I'm not just going to hand the property over to a third-party property manager and hope they know what they're doing. I put too much time and effort into the investment.
Right.
For me to make those type of decisions. But yet those type of decisions are being made every day by syndicators, experienced and unexperienced. And we've seen this at the institutional level.
Yes.
Where we're going, my God, you ought to know better at this level. But, it's common sense. My dad used to always say, common sense ain't all that common, Bryan.
Right.
So, but yeah, you have to manage my plan. You have to have a management plan. Each property, I don't even care if it's a single family home, there needs to be a management plan. This is how this is. You said you got a set of goals for this property. Prove it.
Absolutely.
Prove it. Prove that you're going to be able to get there. And the only way you can prove it is by putting it in a management plan.
I want to point out that this is a 72-page document that you give to coaching clients about actually building this out. So it's quite robust.
Absolutely.
When you're talking about developing a plan. So one of the next benefits of the plan is it's a communication vehicle. So in your guide, you're saying that it articulates ownership goals so that all parties can discuss and agree upon them. I'd love for you to kind of explain, a situation where you've seen lack of communication, how people are doing what they want to do, and how it messes up the overall management of the property.
Yeah. So in the underwriting process,
okay,
you have a set of returns, and in your waterfall structure, you may have offered a pref or whatever. You have a set of returns.
Yeah.
You've got a set of goals that the property is going to, produce certain amounts of cash flow. All right, certain amount of cash flow, a certain IRR hurdle to be met. Now you have the potential of what you see this property producing.
Right.
But then you hand it off to a third-party property manager, or you begin to manage the assets yourself, willy-nilly. No management plan. You're going in and you're thinking you're doing the right decisions or making the right decision. You hand it off to a property manager. They have experience. They've got other properties in the area, right? But there's really no set guidelines on this is how things should be handled. And this is how things, are maintained at this particular property based upon demographics, psychographics, employment, household income, all the CO, the strategic evaluation of a target area, all that information compiled, helping you to develop this management plan. So there's no true guidance. This is when it's like, again, so buying a franchise, you buy a KFC,
Yep.
The secret recipe is the secret recipe, right? Colonel Sanders came up with, but you're going to play around with the secret recipe. You're going to add your own, you're going to do your own thing. And, when you're flying willy nilly and you're adding your own and doing your own thing, this is where, the miscommunication comes in. This is where owners are not really understanding what property managers are doing. And not until things go wrong do they say, okay, I'm willing to take this. I want to take this back now. And they really don't understand the property. It's an ecosystem of confusion. And at this level, you've got to avoid confusion. You've got to avoid. There's enough possible headwinds and risks associated with investing in multifamily than you having to manufacture up your own, problems and issues. And flying by the seat of your plans. Flying. If you're operating without a management plan in place, I don't care your level of experience, and you know this. I don't care your level of experience. You're flying by the seat of your pants. Period. End of story.
I can see the sports analogies coming to life when I think about this. It's like, Pop Warner versus the NFL. It's a whole different level, and you've got to have your plan in place. And so another benefit is for business promotion. So a couple of things you've got listed here is that it serves as a new business development tool. For a management company that's expanding their portfolio. And then it also assures prospective clients that key data is analyzed and that the management of the property is comprehensive and in line with the goals. So, when you're talking to investors, it lays out the plan. This is how we manage.
Or lenders.
Yeah.
More importantly, lenders.
Love it.
Because there's two folks you got to, convinced.
Yeah, that's true.
After a certain point, it becomes more lender or more investors than lenders. Once you've got a track record, your track record becomes more, your lending, your tool. But in the beginning, you've got to convince both lenders and investors. And this is the way with no systems and no model.
Right.
It's kind of hard to, for me, like I said, I'm seasoned. If you're going to tell me that this particular property is going to produce X, Y, or Z, I'm game. I believe you.
Yeah.
But show me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm some dumb. I'm not plumb dumb.
Right.
So, Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. The only way you can verify is to show me, okay, show me the management plan. Let's take a look at what you've created. What are our goals? I'd like to see a management plan put in place for every project. And if we don't have a management plan, then we really, then we don't have we have no way forward. We have where we're flying by the seat of our pants.
So I wear glasses, so I'm a little blind, but correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I've seen anyone give you a management plan when we have acquired a property or have worked with.
No. Yeah, because, when we've, not naming names, but when we've consulted for some of these larger institutions, have they produced a management plan?
Yeah.
You got people managing 4,000 or 5,000 units.
Yeah.
7 to 12 communities, right? And the first thing I ask for during the intake call is, can I see the management plan? Just see where we are.
Right.
Are we up to date? And 7 out of 10 times it's like, we'll try to compile something together for you. There should be a management plan. There should be a 60-page document.
Yeah.
That basically, it's a business plan for those that are probably just entering in. It's basically a business plan for that particular property. Can I see the business plan for that particular property?
Yep.
And 7 out of 10 times, no one's able to produce a business plan, i.e. management plan for that particular property. Because as the consultant, that's where I want to start. I'm going to start, okay, let's see where we are in the management plan. Let's take a look at this. And, then this helps me identify kind of like what's wrong. So I look at the management plan. I look at a series of reports, rent roll, renewals, traffic, delinquencies. I'm able to then look at these matrix, right? Look at the management plan, and I'm able to really then dive in and kind of really give you some feedback. But when you can't produce a management plan, that's the first key. Is like, okay, well, we're simply just kind of, going on sometimes our skills.
Yeah.
And there's some really talented and skillful property managers out there. But then you come across situations where even your talent can't bail you out.
Right.
I.e. COVID. You get into situations where being the talented or the most talented, the best branded,
right,
the largest company, i.e. management company, or the most knowledgeable, it can't help you.
Yeah.
So, you want to be able, especially as you increase and you start to work with, and acquire more help and more staff, oh God, it becomes so much more difficult. The only way you can keep everybody on the same page and keep that company culture and that is to have that management plan in place. And even an individual that's just by themselves.
Right.
I see it. They get stressed. They're getting pulled. They're wearing the maintenance hat. They're wearing the leasing hat. They're wearing the manager's hat. They're doing all the jobs, right? Managing their single family portfolio, 5-6 units, doing all the jobs, stressed. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, man, you get lost. That compass gets broken. You're just getting pulled Monday through Friday, maybe possibly even working a full-time job at the same time as you try to build enough to work yourself out of that W-2 into it becomes stressful. You need a compass. You need a foundation. And that management plan is always the foundation. When things get hectic and you start getting pulled in different directions, that management plan should be able to bring you right back and say, okay, remember, this is why we did this. Remember, this is our goal. And they put that goal in front of you, okay? And this is how you achieve that goal. Woosah for a minute, and let's get back to fundamentals and basics. But when you don't have that management plan, there is no getting back to fundamentals and basics, and you fall victim to, what happens day to day in multifamily, which could be a myriad of things: slip and falls, delinquencies, competition in the marketplace. I mean, there's a million of things, tenant issues day to day, a million of things that can happen. You fall victim to all.
Wow, so much. All right. So, I mean, that moves on to the next topic here, which is employee development and evaluation. Like you said, some people are just operating off their skills, but the management plan benefits you by creating an employee development tool and an evaluation tool. So it says in your book here, protects ideas of the manager and documents his or her efforts on behalf of the firm and the subject property. It also serves as a benchmark to measure success of all property management staff, as well as provides objectivity for staff performance evaluation. So it really sets a hard line on what good is and how you can improve. Talk to me about that.
Well, you said it. It's just making sure that, there's some guidelines in place to be able to understand, what we're doing. And again, speaking with some of these high level investors, that's where some of the issues that I was seeing with the COO when speaking with, this particular COO is, I said, well, what's going on? He gave me a list of problems. And I'm like, well, can I see the Monday morning reports? What are those? Well, you guys don't do Monday morning reports. Your asset manager's not receiving a Monday morning report. There's no, you're not reviewing the rent rolls, the delinquencies, the traffic reports. You're not able to kind of really, you got to look at these reports. This is how you predict headwinds. This is how you can identify issues and problems with staff, whether or not they're living up to the management plan. You don't just jump and tackle a problem when the problem occurs. You try to get ahead. And so, yeah, management plan again. Yeah, it's like I said, it's your roadmap. It's going to let you know should let you know when you're deviating. Just like that GPS, ding ding. Right. You got off a route.
Right.
You just added 15, 20 minutes to your route by going this way or that way. It reminds you when you've taken, when to come up, when your corner or your exit is coming up.
Right.
That's basically what a management plan is doing.
Yeah.
It's going to remind you when your exit's coming up. It's going to remind you various different things that, hey, there's traffic up ahead, or there's something in the road, it's going to remind you. That's what a management plan does. When you pull off and you start veering off, it's going to say, hey, listen, you're off guidance. You've just added 20, 30 minutes. That's what a management plan does. Right. And without that, then you're like we were 20 some odd years ago, you're driving with by the seat of your pants, and kind of hard to do that with, millions of dollars worth of assets. Right. Flying by the seat of your pants.
Easy to get the wool pulled over your eyes too. I remember we went to a consulting gig in Orlando, and in the management meeting, they were talking about how they could earn more money by holding people accountable for like pet deposits or something of that nature. When we went around the property, you found hundreds of thousands of dollars of things that they could be doing other than,
Yeah, well, they're flying by. That was a prime example of a 500 unit apartment community in Orlando, just flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah. In a meeting,
example.
They're talking about pet deposits, and, the asset management team is not on site. They're shaking their heads. Oh, yeah, okay.
They were just guessing on what they can do to increase income when they were just, thousands of dollars were leaking out. Hundreds of thousands were located right in most of their maintenance sheds by not having inventory checks and the proper, policies and procedures in place to keep an eye on maintenance and maintenance spending. There was thousands of supplies that they weren't even using, and paint that they were letting dry up in the sun, out behind the sheds and things of that nature. So yeah, absolutely. It's like inspect what you expect. That's what a management plan helps you to do. Inspect what you expect.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for breaking this all down, B. There's so much more. This was based off of 2 pages out of a 72-page guide that Bryan put together, which is preparing a management plan to earn your certified rental investment specialist designation. If you'd like to see a sample of it and hear more about the CRIS designation, go to bryanchavis.com/CRIS. That's CRIS, bryanchavis.com/CRIS. You're going to learn more about the Certified Rental Investment Specialist program, as well as other opportunities to train one-on-one with Bryan Chavis and his team. B, anything you want to say before we get going, man?
No, I think we've given enough for everyone to kind of ponder on and
Absolutely.
and evaluate and look at their own businesses and practices and just to take a moment to assess themselves.
Yep.
And evaluate what they're currently doing and figure out how they can do what they're currently doing better. So if you like what we're saying, I just encourage you all to please hit subscribe and tell your friends. And I encourage you all to please take a look at multifamilymatrix.com. Join us. Inside the Multifamily Matrix, great networking opportunity. Obviously, we know the platform is designed for learning and obtaining certifications. A lot of folks are now becoming master consultants in multifamily and using that to earn, 6-7 figures themselves.
Yep.
So there's a ton of opportunities, but we encourage everyone to stop by. And like I said, if you like what we're doing, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you next Thursday.
All right. See you next week. Thanks for joining us, B.
All right. Take care.
Bye.